Hey, what's up guys? It's NashCrafter and welcome to my channel for another episode here on the Decidedly Vanilla server. Welcome back guys. Today we are here for episode 21. Now I know the start of this video was was a little bit different than I normally start out my Decidedly Vanilla videos. And that's because today we're going to be talking about a topic that I personally am really excited to talk about, and I felt like it would be kind of cool to dedicate a whole video to it. So that is what we're going to be doing today. That is why there was such a kind of a dramatic intro. Today is actually going to be a little bit more of a talkative type video where I kind of walk around and just talk with you guys. We're not really going to be doing anything building wise. I don't normally try to do my videos like this. I always try to do some sort of build or some sort of something in the video. But today, since we're kind of focusing on one specific topic, I have a lot to say about it, and there's just a lot that I want to kind of point out and explain, and I can't do that without walking and talking. So I hope you guys don't mind too much. If these aren't your favorite videos, I do apologize. Not all of my videos are going to be like this. I am really excited to bring this video to you guys because it's a topic that I've been thinking about over the last week. It's kind of just been on my mind, and I feel like I just need to get it out, and I feel like this might be helpful for some other people as well as me. Now, what we are going to do is we are going to flip around. I'm going to kind of introduce what we're talking about. So today, we are actually talking about immersion in Minecraft. It can be a really cool tool to have when you're building in Minecraft. So what exactly is immersion, and why are we talking about it? Why am I talking about this today in this episode, and why is it so important to me? Those are the questions we're going to try to answer. So right here, we are at my base on Decidedly Vanilla, and this is where it all starts, and this is where my feeling has started. So over the last week, I have really been in kind of a creative block, and it's not that I wasn't having ideas for builds. I had tons of ideas, and I kind of knew what I wanted to do with them, so it wasn't that was the problem. But it was feeling the connection between my builds that has been the problem recently. My base is a really good example of this because right over here in this section, we have these kind of yellow and brown and green builds. And I think I did a pretty good job at making these feel connected. They all kind of have the same block palette. They're very close to each other. They have pathways and things that lead from one to another. So I feel like I did okay over here. But then once we jump all the way back there where my crosshairs are, you can see that there's kind of a netherrack outline of what was supposed to be a castle a long time ago, and once I started it, I kind of got a little overwhelmed. I didn't exactly know what direction I wanted to go in, so I just stopped the project, and I wanted to wait until I got some more inspiration before I continued it. So that's been there kind of randomly, and then if we pop all the way over here, jumping over the trees and coming back down, you can't even see it because it just blends into the ground. But actually, if I run over here, let me eat some steak really quick. We have my fishbowl, which is one of my favorite builds to date. I love this thing. I want to do something really cool with it. But it was kind of an idea that I popped into my head, and it was a very random idea. It just came and I was like, I want to do that. So I did it and I made it. But then after that, it just kind of sits here. It just stands alone. It doesn't really have anything that ties to it. It has no connection. It's just pretty much here. Then jumping all the way over in this direction, we have my starter house. And my starter house looks very different to any of the other builds over there. You know, we've got lots of oak wood and yellow and green and stuff like that. The fishbowl just doesn't really look like anything. It kind of, like I said, stands alone. And then we have this build, which is kind of more of a dark medieval type build. And although I love all these builds and I think they are great when they're alone, I don't see a connection of them together. And this has been what's stumping me. I've just been sitting back thinking, why am I feeling this way? Why do I keep building in this kind of scattered method where whenever I have inspiration for a random build, I just kind of plop it down in the middle of nowhere and then hope that they all seem cohesive in the end? And I've really realized that that is something that's holding me back. It's making my design process really hard because I want that connection and I want that feeling like all these builds belong together, but currently they just don't feel like they belong together. It's always been one of my goals in Minecraft to create a village. That has been something that I've always wanted to do, and I've always looked up to other Minecrafters who can create these big cities and these big villages and make them look really cohesive and make them look like they're one big thing. And just as an example, if you guys have heard of the Artocraft server, I think it's a creative server based around the creation of Middle Earth. It's a really good example because all of their builds on there seem very connected. Every build seems like it fits with another build, and they kind of create these villages and towns. It feels like a real place that you would want to go. If you got on the Artocraft server and you just looked up, you kind of looked around, you would be like, oh wow. It gives this wow factor that I've always wanted in my builds, but I haven't been able to accomplish. And I think the main reason for that is because I haven't been incorporating immersion. And immersion is such a cool thing because what it does is it links your builds together without even, it links them together very seamlessly. So I've been thinking, okay, what are the steps that I can take in order to help myself create immersion? Because so far I really haven't done that great of a job. I think every once in a while I have little spurts of attempting to create immersion, but I haven't exactly figured out how to do it yet. But then it kind of hit me, and I just sat back, I looked at my base for a while. I have my overall vision set in my head, so what are the ways that I can achieve that? What is going to make it possible? And so I said, okay, you know what I'm going to do? I'm going to sit down and I am going to create steps on how to simplify immersion, how to make immersion seem easy, because so far I've just been kind of tossing blocks around and hoping that it becomes immersive, and sometimes it does and sometimes it doesn't, but I did come up with some steps. And what we're actually going to do is we're going to again flip around and we're going to head off to Sea Haven because I want to show you guys one of the builds on the server that I think is actually the most immersive. And I think it's really, really cool. It's going to be a good way to show you guys exactly what I mean and exactly what I'm trying to achieve, I guess you could say. Also, guys, I did want to mention that this video is in no way, shape, or form me trying to bash my build style or me trying to bash myself in any way. I simply am actually just trying to improve my building style. And I think in life it's always good to continue learning, continue improving. If there's something that you want to work on and there's something that you think could use improvement, whether that be in art or in your regular life or your everyday, I think it's important to reach out and learn and almost like stretch your mind a little bit and try new things. And I know it can be kind of scary sometimes. You get in this comfort zone and you think, oh, I'm just going to leave it the way it is because it's okay. Like what I'm doing isn't bad. But I think it's okay to test yourself and do things that are a little bit different and try to reach outside of your comfort zone. And I think it's fair to try to find ways to improve it, even just a little bit. And you never know, you might stumble into something that really makes you smile and really makes you happy and you think, holy crap, I'm so glad I did that because it really takes it up a notch and it's kind of getting me to the place that I want to be. So that's what I'm trying to say with this video. Again, I'm not trying to bash myself in any way, shape, or form or say I don't like my builds, because it's actually quite the opposite. I enjoy my builds and I really like them, but I just want to take them up a notch. I want to make it seem like a real place and not just, you know, a build here, there, over there, over here, over there. I want them to all seem like one thing. But now that we're here in Sea Haven, I want to actually talk about what immersion is and how we can achieve this. Might not be something you've heard of in a video game, so I just want to really put it out there, make sure we're all on the same page. But basically, immersion is a perception of being physically present in a non-physical world. So the best way I could describe it is, you know, you're feeling like you're actually there when it's a video game, or, you know, it's something that's not real, but it actually feels like you're there. It feels like, for example, you're walking through New York City. Say you build New York City in Minecraft. Actually feels like you're walking through the streets of New York City. Even though you're in a video game, it has all the little bells and whistles and nips and knobs and all those good things, and it really feels like you're there. So that's what we're trying to create. So we are here outside of Sausage's house. This is my good friend Mythical Sausage's starter house. Yes, this is a starter house. here on Decidedly Vanilla over here at Sea Haven, and I thought this would be a good place to kind of point out the things that I think really make something immersive and make a build immersive. Sausage is really good at immersion, and I wanted to use his build. I'm sorry, Sausage, I'm using you for today's video, and we're going to talk about how awesome your immersiveness is. Immersiveness? Is that a word? I don't know. But we're going to be talking about this today. I'm going to be pointing out some things that could possibly help me in the future with creating immersion. So first things first, I've got my list here, and this is what we're going to talk about. The first thing that I think really helps with immersion is you have to have a foundation, of course. So you have to have a build that you want to start out with, and you have to have the idea in your head, okay, am I going to make a starter house? Am I going to make a boat? Am I going to make a statue or a fountain? Any of these things can incorporate immersion. Anything you build can have immersion. So you have to start with a base. Now for Sausage's house, of course, we have this kind of base structure here. He's got a tower, he's got a little kind of a larger house bit, he's got a stable and an archway, and he planned out his base structure. He said, you know what, I want all these things. I want a tower, and even if you just block this off in cobblestone, that would be a good base. You could start with even the simplest of things, or you could really go in and add detail right from the start, and that's kind of up to you or me where you decide to fully start from, but it's good to have a foundation in general. So now that we've got our base structure, next thing I was thinking about is what can we do to make this seem more inviting? A pathway. You have to have a way to get to the build in order for you to actually get there. Now, of course, you can just, put a build down and have it stand alone, and that's okay. But in real life, when you think about a place, it's always going to have a way to get there. Whether it's intentional or whether it's obvious or not obvious, it's still going to have a way to get there. For example, here at Sausage's build, there's this path that reaches all the way through Sea Haven, and it kind of curves around. It follows the natural curves of the land. It goes up, it goes down, and then boom, we open up, and we are at this beautiful giant house that is standing right in front of us, and that's what's cool. That's what creates immersion, because it leads us from point A to point B, and it almost has this kind of unveiling effect. Even if it didn't have the unveil, it still leads your eye into looking at what it's supposed to be looking at, which at least to me kind of gives me the feeling that, oh, maybe I'm supposed to be here. This path led me here, so I'm supposed to come this way. So I sat back again and I thought, okay, what's the next thing? We've got the build, we've got the path, but it needs more. It needs something a little bit extra to make this feel like a real place. So we need to add life into our builds. And the best way to do that in Minecraft, I would say, is going and adding shrubs and grass and wheat and water and anything that basically is natural, anything that could count as life. And again, just walking along this path, you can see it's scattered everywhere. We've got bushes over here, we've got path blocks, there's even moss on some of the stones, like here and here. You want to make sure life is everywhere and it stretches all the way around the build. The next thing that I realized that makes a build really pop is going in and adding details. And details can be super, super cool because they almost make your mind think a little bit more than you naturally would. If you just had a build and it was kind of standing alone, it didn't really have anything that made it pop or made it feel interesting, you just kind of see that and think, at least I think I would just kind of sit there and see that as, oh, it's just a build and it's cool. But that's kind of where my thought process stops. I just think, okay, it's cool. Like, it's here, it's cool, I like it. So what can really, really make a build is going and adding things that maybe you wouldn't normally add to add some interest. One of the examples that I think is really cool is Sausage always puts these little buttons on the end of his logs. And when I see that, maybe you'd walk by and you wouldn't exactly think of that. But if you kind of step back, take a long look, and you're really trying to analyze these little things, you'd see, okay, he's got buttons there. So maybe he's trying to kind of emulate that's a nail or some sort of nail that's going into the wood and it's showing the little end bit. So it's more of a support. It's there to help support the structure. So I think that's really cool. It makes you kind of stretch your mind a little bit more and look at all the little things. I think these trapdoors are kind of to act as shutters. You might see them at first and think, oh, those are just trapdoors. But what's cool about immersion is you can kind of make that assumption that these are supposed to be little shutters that go over the windows. So it's just all those little bits and things that leave your mind lingering on the build a little bit longer. So I think it is so, so cool. And those are actually my 4 base steps at creating immersion. Really, really simple, really easy, but they can be super effective. And we can see with this area that Sausage made that just pointing those little things out, it becomes one giant thing. It becomes one really big picture. He's got the path, he's got the life, he's got the base of the build, and then all the details on top of it. It really creates this build that stands out just because it has so much detail to it. It really just seems like something that a lot of thought and a lot of work has gone into. Like, if this build were real, oh, I would get a ticket and I would go today. I would want to see this in real life just to see if it, like, all the different really cool things. And this is what gets me excited about immersion and why I think it's genuinely so awesome, and why I want to incorporate it into my builds is because it gives me a feeling of something bigger, of something more, and that's always what I've wanted to achieve. Like I said, I've always wanted to build villages, and I feel like by having pathways that connect one build to another and having life spread out that really connects everything together, that's what kind of creates that village feeling. Like, all of this is meant to be together. It's all stretched out and it's all one big thing, and you can piece it apart, but if you look at it from, if you stand back and look at it, it does look like one big thing. Now, with all of that being said, now that we've got all of our steps to immersion, there's actually one more step, and it's probably the most important step, and one that I don't follow hardly ever, but I really do think this is the most important step, and that is what's next. After you've finished the build, after you've finished the path, after you've added life all around it, after you've gone and adding all the bells and whistles and bits and bobs and detail, what's next? Where do we go from here? Do we just leave that build by itself? Do we just let it sit there in the middle of the world, kind of doing its own thing? And the answer is no. We ask ourselves, what comes next? What comes after this? And the reason why I specifically picked this build to show you guys is because there is a what's next. And I think Sausage did an amazing job. And another cool thing about all these steps that I mentioned to you, all 5 of these steps, that they can be overlapped. You can keep going. This is kind of a cycle that just keeps going and keeps going. So once Sausage was done with his build, he maybe subconsciously asked himself, well, what's next? What do I do next? It's right here, a dock. And it seems simple, but, like I said, all of these can be overlapped. So he started with his base structure, which is just a basic old dock. And then he said, okay, so I need a path to get to the dock. So he created a path from his house to the dock so that the person living here could, come over and walk over here and go up and maybe fish or get on a boat, which is cool. So we've got the path, and then, of course, he went in and added life to it. We've got trees and shrubs and little lily pads. We've got grass growing all around here. We've got some moss. So all these things kind of add a little bit more life to the build. We even have rocks and boulders along the edge to create kind of a wall. After we've got the life, we've got all the details. He's got pots, he's got trapdoors, and one of the details that I love the most is he even went as far as to add a little ladder over here, just in case you fall off the dock and you need a way to get back up. This looks like a little top to a rock, like it's been carved a little bit. It's so small and something that wouldn't normally just stand out to you, but it really is effective and it's so cool. And I just all of this is getting me so inspired and making me feel like, oh, I just want to do this to all of my builds, and of course we've got the pathway as well that wraps around here. So that's all 4. We've got the details, we've got the path, we've got the base, we've got the life. So what's next? What do we do next? It's like, boom, okay, we're gonna build a gazebo, because why not? Let's just build the gazebo. And I actually think Sausage built the gazebo first, but we're just going to kind of ignore that. It all flows into one thing, and that's what really makes this area immersive, and what really makes it seem like a real place is because all these things fit together. All these things just mesh so well, and one thing turns into another thing, and it really feels like a real place. I guess what I'm just trying to get at, guys, is that these are some steps that I'm going to try to start incorporating into my videos to try to create more immersion and try to create that overall view that I've wanted to achieve, but I haven't exactly found the way to do it. And I feel like I finally made a breakthrough, and I'm really excited about this. So I wanted to kind of just talk to you guys about it in a video because I felt like this was a topic that could you know, if I was having a problem with this and I was struggling a little bit with this, there could be someone out there who's feeling the same way. I have to admit, this video does seem a little bit artsy-fartsy, kind of like I'm looking at Minecraft in a very artistic way, and I'm kind of really diving deep into, I'm almost like stretching the game a little bit to where I'm trying to make something out of nothing, and I think that's actually a good thing. I think by doing that, I've opened my mind up to realizing some of the things that I've actually been missing in my builds. And I bet you there's one or two of you out there who already do this kind of stuff and you don't even think twice about it. You're just like, oh, I do that anyway. And I think that's so cool. And I wish my brain kind of automatically went to those things. It took me a while to get to this point, but it actually does feel good to feel like I finally understand what immersion is and some small steps that I can take to at least maybe help myself achieve those in the future. I'm excited. I know this, like I said, was a really talky video, and it kind of went on, and I just ran around and talked about random things. I felt like this video was important, and I wanted to get this out, and some of you guys might not agree with this video, and I think that's completely okay. I understand that this might not be for everybody, but I am going to try these things, and I'm excited to start trying these things in my videos. Last thing I want to mention that I think is important before I go, while the sun is setting, is that everybody's build style is different. Everybody has a way that they like to build, and if you didn't agree with this video, and if you really, really like your build style, I never want my videos to come off and seem like I'm saying, do this, do this, do this, do this, and you'll be a better builder, because that's not what I'm trying to say at all. I simply just wanted to put this video out there because someone could be feeling the same way that I was feeling. These are just personal things that I want to try to see if they improve, and I love sharing the things that I learn with you guys, and that's just what I want to try to do. Is I always want to share my ideas and share these things, and sometimes they'll work and sometimes they won't. This is one that I think could be really helpful, and I think, at least I hope it works. We're gonna see over the next few videos if it does work. As corny as it sounds, follow your heart, and if you like your building style, don't change that. Don't change the way that you build just because, you know, someone says, oh, do this or try this. Let me flip around, because we don't want to die in the nighttime. Oh gosh, we've already got skeletons. Oh, get out of here. I think we're okay. I think we're safe. All right, we're gonna go upstairs. I'm gonna sleep off the night. But I guess just to finish out this video, because I've been kind of going on for a little while now, I think you should build the way you like to build, and don't let anybody tell you that you should build differently. I do have a little short clip that I'm gonna show at the end of this video. It's a little bit of a short. It's not a short film. It's I don't know exactly what to call it. It's just some clips that I put together. It's the extended part of the intro, so the intro of this video. This little segment is very special to me because what I did was I basically took all the steps that I talked about in this video and I put them to effect. I made a short time-lapse video for you guys displaying how all of these things can be used and how they can work. When you guys see that build at the end of the little time-lapse, that build is one of my most proud builds. I sat back after I finished it. I was just like, wow, I actually feel like I kind of made a breakthrough, and it just felt really good to feel like I finally kind of created something that I've been intending to create for a really long time. Just know that this little clip towards the end is very close to my heart and it means a lot to me. So I hope you guys really enjoy it, but I'm gonna leave you be and I will talk to you very soon. I hope you all have a beautiful, wonderful day. Bye guys.